Okay, so if you're stuck feeling like you're constantly swinging between moments of
Hmm.
like absolute invincibility and then suddenly feeling like you're just not good enough,
Mm.
this deep dive, it's really going to help you find that steady, powerful middle ground.
Yeah.
It's a common experience, isn't it, for
Oh,
so many of us?
oh, totally.
One minute you're riding high on a promotion, maybe a big win, or even just a compliment, feeling like, yeah, I can conquer the world.
Hmm.
And then the next, that little voice creeps in, whispering, who are you kidding? You're not really good enough. You're going to fail.
Right. The imposter feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And modern culture, it often pushes us towards these extremes, right?
Mm.
Hyperconfidence is praised, but then you've got ancient wisdom constantly preaching humility. It's a real tug of war. Kind of exhausting, actually.
And that tug of war, as you put it, that really hits the core issue we're exploring today.
Mhm.
Because both things, that inflated ego and that crippling self-doubt, they can seriously sabotage your growth, your
Yeah.
effectiveness. So what we really need to cultivate is, well, a healthy, sustainable balance. Confidence without the arrogance and humility without crippling insecurity.
Okay.
And a crucial guide for finding and, just as importantly, maintaining that balance, as we'll get into, is having a clear sense of purpose.
That's really well put. So today, yeah, we're diving deep into ego and self-doubt, finding balance and purpose.
Hmm.
We've pulled from a really rich stack of sources here. Everything from, profound Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and
And
Epictetus
classics.
to contemporary psychology, modern thinkers, even some cutting-edge scientific studies. We're really hoping to get to the root of these internal battles.
And before we dig right in, it's probably helpful to clarify our terms because ego, well, it can mean different things to different people, right?
Sure.
For this deep dive, when we talk about ego, we're not really talking about the Freudian psychological thing. Instead, we're focusing on that inflated sense of self-importance, that kind of loud, brash voice inside that insists, I'm better than others, or I already know it all, maybe I deserve special treatment.
Gotcha.
It's the overconfidence that basically blinds us to our faults and, importantly, keeps us from growing.
Right. And the flip side.
And then, yeah, the flip side is self-doubt, that persistent lack of confidence. It's that insidious little voice whispering, I'm not enough, I'll probably fail, everyone's going to find out I'm a fraud.
Ugh, yeah.
It's the insecurity that just holds you back from reaching your actual potential.
What's really compelling here, I think, is how these two extremes, they seem like total opposites, but they actually share some surprising similarities. And they often feed into each other, like in a vicious cycle.
Exactly.
So we're going to unpack each of these enemies within, understand their traps, and then, crucially, explore how to find that sweet spot, that balance in between.
That's good.
Okay, so let's start with ego, the overconfidence trap. It's often called the enemy of wisdom, and, well, for good reason. It's that part of us that consistently overestimates our own abilities, desperately craves validation from others, and really bristles at even constructive criticism.
Oh, yeah. And the negative effects of that kind of bloated ego are, well, they're pretty well documented. In relationships, it leads to constant conflict.
Right.
Professionally, it fosters an inability to accept feedback, poor empathy for colleagues, and it can even drive some really delusional risk-taking.
I bet.
There's an article on highermind.com that points out having a strong ego tends to lead to trouble in all areas of life where interpersonal relationships are at play. Basically, an arrogant person just stops listening. They stop learning.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that just stunts their growth, personally, professionally, everywhere.
It's really striking how ancient wisdom totally nailed this centuries ago.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Stoics. Epictetus famously warned, it's impossible to learn that which you think you already know.
So true.
If your ego convinces you you're already a know-it-all, well, your learning journey just slams to a halt. Makes you think of Socrates, right? Often called the wisest philosopher. But his whole thing was claiming he knew nothing. His wisdom came from humility, not some puffed up ego.
Exactly. And this isn't just, philosophical navel-gazing. There are serious real-world consequences. We've seen businesses collapse because a CEO, totally driven by ego, just ignored critical feedback.
All the time.
Teams fall apart under those kinds of domineering leaders. There was a 2020 study, I think in the Journal of Applied Psychology. It found leaders with inflated egos had something like 40% less team effectiveness.
Wow, 40%?
Yeah, their need to be the star just stifles everyone else. Now, contrast that with humble leaders. Research shows they consistently create loyal, high-performing teams. Something like 70% of top performers chase self-awareness over self-importance. They listen, they admit mistakes, they lift others up. It just creates a much stronger environment.
Okay, so that's the big picture. But how do we spot ego creeping into our own lives? Like, what are those signs we should look out for in ourselves?
Well, it can show up subtly. Maybe an unwillingness to admit mistakes, or an excessive need for praise. Or maybe you find yourself refusing to acknowledge other people's contributions, that feeling that certain tasks are just beneath you.
Oh yeah, been there.
That's often ego talking. It's basically refusal to engage with reality, to accept you're part of a bigger picture.
And social media. Gosh, let's be honest, it can really pour fuel on that fire, can't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It's so easy to get hooked on that instant gratification, the likes, the comments.
Right. But Marcus Aurelius, he nailed it ages ago. He said something like, ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions. Chasing that external validation just makes you a puppet, right? Always needing that next hit of approval.
That's such a critical distinction. We need to separate ego from healthy confidence.
Yes, very important.
True confidence is grounded. It's based on reality, competence. It's that quiet internal voice saying, okay, I can learn this. I can do this.
Right.
Ego, though, that's the distortion. It's
Yeah.
loud, it's boastful, it's saying, I'm already better than everyone else, I don't even need to try.
And that kind of overconfidence, well, history and stories are full of examples where that leads to a fall.
Like the tortoise and the hare.
Exactly. The hare's arrogance cost him the race. Or think about Icarus flying too close to the sun.
Right.
Even in military history, so many blunders boil down to a general's inflated ego ignoring vital intelligence.
So what's the antidote then, if ego is the poison?
The antidote is humility. And it's really crucial to understand what humility is and isn't. It's not about humiliation or thinking you're worthless.
Okay.
It's simply having an accurate view of yourself, acknowledging your strengths and your limitations, and being genuinely open to learning from others. Far from being weak, humility is a virtue. It's a massive strength. It keeps us grounded, improves relationships. It's key.
Okay, that really clarifies the ego trap. Now let's pivot. Let's talk about the other extreme, self-doubt, the undermining voice. So if ego is overestimating your worth, self-doubt is doing the opposite, profoundly underestimating it. It's that nagging inner critic constantly questioning you, am I really capable? Others are so much better. I'm probably going to fail, or worse, be exposed as a fraud.
And psychologically, yeah, this often shows up as imposter syndrome. That term was coined by Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes.
Ah, yes. Heard of that.
It describes that persistent belief, often among really high achievers, that their success is somehow undeserved, that they're frauds just waiting to be unmasked.
And it's surprisingly common, isn't it?
Shockingly common. Studies suggest up to 70% of people feel this way at some point, especially when you're starting something new or pushing outside your comfort zone.
Wow. And it makes you think of that Bertrand Russell quote, right?
Yeah.
Something like, the whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain of themselves and wiser people so full of doubts.
Yes, it's such a frustrating paradox.
It really is.
Yeah.
How often do competent, intelligent people hold back? They don't step up just because they're riddled with self-doubt. So what does that actually look like day to day?
Well, in daily life, self-doubt often manifests as, say, procrastination, putting things off because you fear failing, or constant unhealthy comparison to others, difficulty accepting compliments, just batting them away.
Yeah. Oh, it's nothing.
Exactly, or just feeling unworthy of opportunities that come your way. It creates this really draining cycle of underachievement, stress, sometimes even burnout. People might lose sleep before a big presentation, hear that chorus of self-criticism even when things go well.
Yeah.
And they tend to explain away any success as just luck, pure luck.
And it hits even the most celebrated people. I read that Maya Angelou, after writing like 11 incredible books, still admitted, each time I think, uh-oh, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody.
Incredible, isn't it?
And Albert Einstein. Even Einstein apparently confided he felt like an involuntary swindler. These examples just hammer home that self-doubt isn't rational. It persists despite tons of evidence showing you are capable. It's a feeling, not a fact.
Exactly. And its roots are varied. It could be messages from childhood, past failures that stick with you, negative stereotypes in society.
Sure.
And of course, the constant comparison trap of social media where you only see everyone else's curated highlight reels.
Right.
Plus, some cultural attitudes subtly discourage self-confidence, leading people to constantly self-deprecate just to avoid seeming egotistical.
So both ego and self-doubt, they're both distortions of reality. One inflates the positive, the other exaggerates the negative.
Enticing.
But here's where it gets really fascinating. You mentioned earlier they're often two sides of the same coin. That seems counterintuitive. How does overconfidence mask insecurity? How do they feed each other?
Yeah, it is counterintuitive, but it's true. Think about it. People who feel vulnerable or somehow threatened might actually overinflate their sense of self as a defense mechanism.
Ah, like a sheep.
Exactly. HigherMind.com notes, this ego-driven facade creates a barrier against criticism, but it also distances the person from real connections and growth. Think of the classic bully often projecting strength to hide deep insecurity.
Okay, that makes sense.
And conversely, some people constantly put themselves down, maybe because they're afraid of appearing egotistical. But that self-deprecation also holds them back.
So both are ways of coping, essentially.
Right. Both are attempts to manage anxiety about self-worth, and both ultimately lead to stagnation because they prevent honest self-assessment and genuine growth. You're stuck in a loop.
That's a really powerful insight. Okay, so if both extremes, the loud ego and the whispering self-doubt, are problematic and maybe even connected, what's the solution? Where do we go?
Well, the solution lies in finding that middle path, what you might call humble confidence or maybe secure confidence.
A humble confidence. I like that.
Yeah, it's about quietly knowing your value and your abilities without feeling like you're infallible or somehow inherently better than others. This connects really nicely to Aristotle's idea of the golden mean. He talked about proper pride as the virtue sitting between the vices of vanity, that's excessive pride, like ego and pusillanimity, which is excessive meekness or self-doubt.
Right, the middle way.
Exactly. And secure self-esteem, it comes from an internal belief in your values and capabilities, not from constantly needing external validation. There's that saying, confidence is silent, insecurities are loud. People who are genuinely confident don't need to constantly boast or apologize for taking up space. Their actions speak louder.
And I found this really interesting practical framework and the sources for finding this balance. Frank Shamrock's plus-minus equal system. It comes from MMA training.
Yes. It's brilliant in its simplicity, but also its effectiveness. Shamrock's idea is that to keep improving and stay grounded, you always need 3 kinds of relationships in your training, or really, in life.
Okay, what are they?
You need a plus, someone better than you, who you learn from. That keeps you humble. You need a minus, someone less experienced than you, who you teach. That reinforces your own knowledge and builds confidence.
Okay, makes sense.
And you need an equal, someone at your level who challenges you and keeps you sharp, pushes you.
Plus, minus, equal. I like that. He says this system purges ego that puffs us up and the fear that makes us doubt ourselves.
Exactly, because it gives you continuous real-time feedback. You're never the ultimate expert, so your ego stays in check.
Yeah.
But you're also never completely lost or useless because you're teaching someone else, which tackles that self-doubt.
So you could totally apply this outside of MMA, right?
Yeah.
Find mentors, help others, join peer groups.
Absolutely. Find your pluses, actively seek out minuses to help, and connect with your equals. It keeps you learning and contributing. It really hits that sweet spot we're talking about.
The Stoics, getting back to them, they also offered some really powerful practices for cultivating this kind of balance.
They did. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, practiced a constant reality check. He'd remind himself of his cosmic smallness, matter how tiny your share of it, time how brief.
Whoa.
That kind of thought exercise was designed specifically to diminish the ego, put things in perspective.
Right. And Epictetus.
Epictetus emphasized focusing only on what's truly within our control. Our attitudes, our efforts, our judgments. That's where grounded confidence comes from, not from external outcomes you can't control.
Okay.
And then there's the practice of premeditation of adversity. Basically, visualizing potential failures or setbacks before they happen.
That sounds stressful.
It sounds counterintuitive, right? But it actually does 2 things. First, it humbles the ego, reminds you you're not invincible.
Okay.
Second, for those plagued by self-doubt, it reduces the power of fear because you've already mentally walked through the worst-case scenario and thought about how you'd cope. It builds resilience.
Interesting. Okay, so let's move to some more contemporary, maybe evidence-backed strategies from psychology. These are your tactical insights for today.
Let's do it.
First one, practice radical self-honesty and consistent self-reflection. This isn't just listing strengths and weaknesses, right? It's deeper.
Much deeper. It's about being brutally honest with yourself, but without harsh judgment, seeing clearly. Journaling is a fantastic tool for this.
Okay.
There's a quote often attributed to Rick Warren: humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less.
Ah, right. Shifting focus.
Exactly. It's about clear self-assessment, not self-criticism, and being able to spot your own tendencies. Are you leaning more towards ego today or more towards doubt?
And that self-honesty is crucial for the next one, which is accept compliments and criticism gracefully. This sounds simple, but it's hard.
It really is. When someone praises you, the goal is to just say thank you. Really let it land. Don't deflect it or minimize it. That just feeds self-doubt.
Yep.
And when you face criticism, resist that knee-jerk defensiveness that's your ego flaring up. Instead, pause. Consider if there's a kernel of truth. Genuinely ask, okay, what can I learn here?
Building on that, the third insight, reframe failures and mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
This connects to Carol Dweck's work on mindset.
Yes, exactly. It's core to having a growth mindset. Instead of seeing failure as this devastating blow to your identity or proof that you're inadequate,
Right.
you reframe it as a lesson, a data point. Ask, what did I learn from this? Rather than beating yourself up or getting defensive. This perspective really dismantles both ego's fear of looking bad and self-doubt's fear of being exposed.
Okay, number 4, compare yourself only to your past self. This seems huge, especially now.
It is huge. Social comparison is just a massive trap for both ego and self-doubt. Ego compares to feel superior, which is fragile. Self-doubt compares and feels inadequate.
Yeah.
So the tactic is, stop measuring yourself against other people's curated online lives or even their real lives. Instead, track your own progress. Are you a little better, a little more skilled, a little wiser than you were last month, last year? Recognize those gains. Theodore Roosevelt apparently said, comparison is the thief of joy,
Good one.
and it's also the thief of authentic growth.
Okay, number 5, practice beginner's mind. This is a Zen concept, Shoshin.
That's right, Shoshin. It means approaching things, even things you're good at, with openness, eagerness, like a beginner, without preconceptions.
How does that help?
It's fantastic for humbling the ego, reminding you there's always more to learn. And it's a powerful reminder for self-doubters that they are capable of learning and growing. A practical tip: try taking up a completely new hobby where you are guaranteed to be terrible at first.
Ah, well.
It's an instant ego check, and it builds confidence in your ability to learn and adapt.
And that leads nicely into number 6, seek mentors and be a mentor. This is basically applying that Shamrock system.
Exactly. Plus, minus equal in action. Humble yourself to learn from your pluses and pay it forward by teaching or helping your minuses. It's empowering to contribute, and it's humbling to realize there's always more to learn from those ahead of you.
Okay, number 7, use targeted affirmations. Now, affirmations sometimes get a bad rap.
They do, and sometimes deservedly if they're just unrealistic positive thinking. But targeted affirmations can be useful, especially against strong self-doubt.
So not, I am the greatest.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not. More like grounded, realistic statements. Things like, I have overcome challenges before, so I can handle this, or I am capable and I am learning. These help rewire negative thought patterns without just papering over reality.
Makes sense. Number 8, mindfulness and detachment.
Yeah, practices like meditation are incredibly helpful here. They teach you to observe your thoughts, including those ego-driven or self-doubting thoughts, without getting totally swept away by them.
Like watching clouds pass by.
Kind of like that, yeah. You can develop what some call a quiet ego by seeing these thoughts as just mental events, stories your mind tells, not necessarily capital T truth. It creates space, gives you choice in how you respond.
And finally, number 9, cultivate gratitude and empathy. How do these fit in?
These are powerful because they shift your focus outwards. Gratitude actively combats entitlement and scarcity thinking, both of which fuel ego. And empathy, genuinely trying to understand others' perspectives, reduces self-absorption, whether it's ego's self-aggrandizement or doubt's self-criticism. Plus, helping others, it actually boosts your own confidence, reminds you have value, while keeping you humble because you're focusing on service.
So putting it all together, what does a person with this humble confidence look like?
Well, they tend to display certain traits consistently, like a willingness to admit, I don't know, or I was wrong. They're comfortable with their own imperfections. They can genuinely celebrate other people's successes without feeling envious or threatened.
Nice.
They're assertive when they need to be, but not aggressive. They embody what Jim Collins described in his book Good to Great as level 5 leaders.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Right. They blend intense professional will, like they are fiercely ambitious for the company or the mission with deep personal humility. They often channel their drive outward, ensuring the organization thrives long after they're gone, rather than focusing on personal glory.
That's a great model. So, okay, beyond this internal mindset stuff,
Yeah.
you mentioned purpose earlier. How does that fit into living a truly balanced life?
Purpose is, well, it's like the ultimate guiding light here. It fundamentally shifts your focus away from yourself, how you're perceived, whether you feel good enough, whether you're getting enough credit.
Right.
Instead, your focus goes to the mission itself. It provides a perspective that's just bigger than your ego's constant cravings for applause, and it's stronger than your inner critic's whispers of inadequacy.
It's like a North Star.
Exactly. It's a constant redirect. Even if ego tries to latch onto the purpose for validation, look how great I am for doing this, a true sense of purpose eventually pulls you back, recenters you on the why.
You see this in people like humanitarian workers,
Yeah.
right, or dedicated activists.
Absolutely. Their commitment to the cause, it's so strong it allows them to push through incredible self-doubt, maybe even danger. And at the same time, it keeps their ego in check because the mission is so much more important than their personal fears or their desire for individual glory.
Makes sense.
Marcus Aurelius, again, he viewed humans as limbs of one body, emphasizing our duty to contribute to the common good. He wrote, "We should do good to others as simply as a horse runs or a bee makes honey, not thinking of the honey it has made." It's about doing your duty, contributing for its own sake, not for the rewards or the recognition.
And we see this echoed in history, too. Like Tom Brokaw's Greatest Generation from World War II, they often talked about fighting out of duty and honor. A collective purpose, not for personal fame. Or think about Malala Yousafzai. She survived an assassination attempt, driven by her incredibly clear purpose, advocating for girls' education. That purpose clearly empowered her beyond personal fear or any desire for the spotlight that came with it.
And there's a strong psychological link that backs this up. Study after study shows a clear correlation between having a strong sense of purpose and lower levels of anxiety and depression. Purpose acts like an anchor, especially when life gets stormy. Conversely, a Harvard report found young adults who lacked meaning or direction reported significantly higher rates of anxiety and depression.
Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, he captured this so perfectly. He said, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose."
Such a powerful statement.
And he also said famously, "Don't aim at success. It must ensue as the unintended side effect of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than one's self." That's like the ultimate ego killer right there. Make it not about you.
Exactly. And to cultivate purpose, it doesn't have to be some huge world-saving mission,
Right.
It can be found by reflecting on your core values. What truly matters to you? What problems do you genuinely want to help solve? What activities make you feel alive and engaged? That purpose becomes your guide. It tempers ego, provides courage against doubt. It's that internal compass we keep coming back to.
Okay, let's try to unpack all of this. This deep dive, it really shows that navigating ego and self-doubt isn't like a one-time fix. It's a continuous journey, isn't it?
Absolutely. A lifelong practice.
And recognizing that both ego, that false confidence, and self-doubt, that distorted self-criticism, are basically imposters. They stop us from seeing ourselves and what we can do clearly.
Right. And the key is learning how to talk back to those imposters, to challenge them.
How so?
So if your ego starts shouting, "You're the best," maybe respond internally with quiet humility. "Okay, but I still have plenty to learn."
Right.
And if self-doubt whispers, "You're not good enough," counter it with grounded confidence. "Hang on, I've overcome challenges before. I can take the next step."
And if ego makes you fear criticism,
Try to view it not as a personal attack, but as a potential gift, a chance to gain perspective, maybe learn something.
okay, and if self-doubt makes you shrink from criticism,
See it as a valuable opportunity to improve rather than confirmation of your deepest fears. Reframe it.
what about ego craving applause?
Refocus on your purpose. Why are you really doing this? Shift attention back to the mission.
And if self-doubt gets stuck on a mistake,
Acknowledge it, yes, but then consciously refocus on the lesson learned. How does this mistake actually equip you better for the future?
and throughout this journey, it sounds like seeking support is pretty crucial too.
Incredibly important. Trusted friends, mentors, maybe coaches. They can offer invaluable external perspective when your own internal voice is way off base, whether it's too high or too low.
Yeah.
There's real liberation in just openly acknowledging these struggles. It's something ego hates, admitting vulnerability, but it often leads to much greater connection and clarity.
So in this often pretty unbalanced world we live in, cultivating that humble confidence, finding that clear purpose that really gives you that strong internal compass.
Exactly. It helps you stay true to yourself without getting totally lost in destructive pride or, conversely, paralyzing fear.
Okay, so let's drive home the key takeaways here. Ego blinds you, it alienates others. Self-doubt just saps your potential, holds you back.
Right.
The sweet spot, the real strength, is confidence balanced with humility. And having a purpose beyond just yourself provides both that unwavering direction and incredible resilience when things get tough.
Well said.
So here's your action challenge for today. Try this out. The next time you accomplish something, anything really, take a moment, silently thank anyone who helped you, and genuinely acknowledge your own effort. Give yourself credit too.
Good one.
Or the next time you feel that little whisper of self-doubt starting to creep in, maybe recall that even giants like Maya Angelou and Albert Einstein felt that way too. Acknowledge the feeling, but act anyway. Confidence isn't about never feeling doubt. It's about acting effectively in spite of it.
That's key. And maybe a final provocative thought to leave you with: know thyself. Really take a moment, maybe today or this week, to understand your personal leaning. Are you generally more prone to the trap of ego or more often pulled down by self-doubt? Then, consciously practice applying the antidote. Remind yourself, you are neither a god nor a worm. You're a human being with this amazing capacity to reason, to improve, to connect. Your inherent worth is real. It doesn't need constant validation. And your limitations are also real, and they're not cause for shame. Embrace both truths.
By truly working to conquer both ego and self-doubt, you don't diminish yourself at all. You actually liberate yourself. You become free to be your most authentic, most capable self without all that baggage of false pride or those false limitations. And that right there is a profound form of tranquility and strength. It's definitely worth striving for.
Absolutely.
Keep that purpose in sight, keep practicing that balance, and keep going. You've got this.